welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video we're gonna do a improved version of the random password generator that was done in the previous video. Okay, if you haven't watched that video, I'll provide a link above. Okay, we're gonna improve the previous application by adding GUI in this video. Okay, let me show a GUI design that we are gonna implement. Okay, we're gonna do it on a small window with a main label saying password generator, then two text field. The first text field will provide the user to enter the length, and the second text field is the read-only field which displays the password. On the right side we'll have three radio buttons for the user to select the strength of the password. Then at the bottom, two buttons, one is to generate the password and the other one to exit the window. Okay, the GUI we're going to be doing it in PyQt. So basically Qt is a GUI toolkit which helps in creating GUI for cross-platform applications, and PyQt is like an Python wrapper for the Qt software. So it's basically an Python plugin. So we can write the code in Python and create an Qt application. Okay, this is the code that we had written in the previous video. So let's create the new Python file. Let's call it GUI, something like that. Okay, first let me create the skeleton code to display the window. Okay, first let me import. We'll import from pyqtify.qtgui. We'll import everything. From pyqtify.qtcore we'll import everything, and from pyqtify.qtwidgets will import everything. Okay, these are the three things we need to do. Now let's create a class. Let's let it be called as pass. Okay, let it be called as pass. It should be inherited from qtwidget. Okay, so then we'll write the init function f-init. Now let's call the super function super dot init. Okay, now we need to declare few variables. Okay, so I'll just say we'll declare the variables, then I explain it later. So top, let it be top 10, self dot left 10, mm, 10, and self dot height should be around maybe 200, and self dot width to be around 360. Okay, these are the four variables for the window. Okay, so basically top and left means the window should be displayed 10 pixels from the top and 10 pixels from the left. The width of the window should be around 360 and the height should be around 200. Okay, now we have declared the variables, and the other one should be title. So let's declare title. Let it be called as password generator. Okay, all the variables have been declared. So the next one is we need to show the window, display the window. So for that, first it should be self.show to show the window. So before showing the window we need to place the window, right? So let's call self.set geometry, and the geometry this function will take in four variables, that is the top, left, width and height. So we'll just pass those variables. So self.top, then self.left, and self.width, and self.height. Okay, then for that we need to set the title. So self.set window title to be self.title. Okay, we have declared it. Now we just need to run it. So if name equals main, name equals main, and app equals queue application. We will pass in sys dot arguments, sys dot archive archive, and call ex equals pass. We're creating the object of this class, and sys dot exit on app dot execute. We need to import sys method, import sys. Okay, this is the basic skeleton code to display the window. So let's run this, run, save it, run GUI. Yeah, we have created the window, it's displaying. So now we have created the window. Now let's organize the code. We will delete this, put it in a function, def init. Okay, we'll call it UI init, and we'll paste the code there, and we'll just call the function over here. Self dot UI init. Okay, now that we have created the window, now based on this design we need 3 labels, 2 text fields, 3 radio buttons, and 2 buttons. Okay, first we'll put the labels. This should be a main label at the center of the window and should be called as password generator. The second one on the left side called enter length, and the third one should be password generator. So now let's create the labels. Provide space. Okay, now let's declare the variables. Call it self dot main label. Main label should be Q label. Q label is the widget. Call it will send a self, and will set the text to be self dot main label dot set text. Set text to be password generator. Password generator, and I need to provide the location where the main label should be located. Okay. Sorry, self dot main label dot set geometry. Okay, set geometry we need to pass in a qrect. Qrect is basic similar to the window. We need to provide 4 variables, that is top, left, width, and height. So we'll create a qrect and we'll pass in the variables. So it should be from top, it should be 120 comma 10. So this is the left, top, width, and height. So left is 120, from top it should be 10, then 130 and 20. These variables I got it after researching, that is the trial and error. You can provide any values you want, run it and check. If you want to move the labels or any other widgets, you can try it. Okay, this is done, I guess. We'll just run this and check whether the label is in the window or not. Yeah, okay, it's saying the password generator. Okay, now let's create few more labels. We'll create self dot length label, th label length label. It should be similar. Q label, we'll pass in the self, then self dot length label dot set text. Set text should be enter the length, enter length, and the position is self dot length label dot set geometry, that should be a currect. The position is 40, 60, 80 and 15. Okay, then the other one is okay. Now we have created the label. For the length label we need a text box to get the user input. Okay, for that here it's called a line edit, Q line edit. So let's create it. Let it be called self dot pass length. Pass length should be Q line edit. Q line edit will pass in self, and pass sorry self dot pass length dot set geometry will set the geometry. Same, it's we need to create a currect with position some 40, 80, 130 and 20. Okay, now that is done. Next let's come here. We have done the parser generator, we have done the enter length, we have done the text box. Next we'll do the radio buttons, 3 radio buttons. Okay, so next for radio button here it's called Q radio. So let's create, we'll call it self dot weak, we'll call it radio weak. Radio weak should be Q radio, Q radio button. We'll send in the self. Next we'll set the geometry, self dot radio weak dot set geometry. Same thing, we'll pass in the currect, and the position is 250, 110, 80 and 15. 250, 110, 250, 110, 80 and 115. And we'll set the text self dot radio weak dot set text to be called, let's call it weak. Okay, next we'll copy the same thing because we need to do it 2 times. This is for the medium and this is for strong. Let's call this medium. Let me copy the variable name, paste. Okay, and the geometry should be okay, let's make this 80, 110. Okay, and this one should be called strong, radio strong. Let me copy this, paste. Okay, and the position here it should be 140 because just the height should be the difference, everything else should be the same. Let's run it and check it. Run GUI. Okay, we need to set the text also. Okay, everything is done. Let's call this medium, and this one should be strong. Okay, all the radio buttons are done. Next we need to create a label. Okay, next we need to create a label here and the text field and 2 buttons. Okay, now okay, now we have created the radio buttons. Next we need to create a label. We'll call it label dot pass label. Pass label should be Q label. Same thing, will pass in the self dot set geometry. You need to pass in a currect, then self dot set text, self dot pass label dot set text should be password generated, same thing, a pass label dot set geometry. I'll pass in the positions later. Next, self dot, we need to create a text field to display the passwords, so let's call it passgen passgen equals q line edit, pass in the self, and self dot set self dot passgen dot set geometry, same thing, will pass in the curate. Then curate position, I'll do it later. Next, we need the passgen to be only read only, so we don't want the user to edit it. He can copy it, but he shouldn't be able to edit the password. So we'll make the passgen to be read only. Self dot passgen dot set read only to be true. Okay. uh, for the positions for the curate, it should be 40, 150, 160 and 20. And for the password generated, it should be 40, maybe 120 and 100 comma 20. I think that should be fine. Let's check it whether all the widgets in the proper place. Okay, almost everything are in proper place. We need to add 2 buttons, so now let's add the 2 buttons. Self dot we need 2 buttons, one to generate the password and the other one to exit the window. So we'll call it generate button. Generate button should be called Q push button. It's called Q push button in PyQt. Next we'll pass in self, will self dot generate button dot set geometry. The geometry to curate with positions 40, 110, 75, 20. Okay, then self dot generate button dot set text. We need the button to display something. We'll just call it generate. Generate. That should be done. And create another button. We'll call it exit button. Exit button. Let's copy this. For the exit button, the position should be 130, 110, 75, 20. We'll set the text to exit. And now let's run the code. Okay, it's a bit different. Let's push it down maybe. Let me check it. And okay, after a few minor adjustments I have got it. Let me show it. GUI. Okay, see, 2 labels, 2 buttons, 3 radio buttons, and this is editable, but this is not editable. Okay, we just need to add functionalities to generate button and the exit button. Okay, now okay, those 2 buttons have been created. Now let's connect those buttons to a function. So let's first, before the generate button, we'll connect the exit button called self dot exit button dot clicked dot connect it to self dot GUI underscore exit. We'll be creating that function now. Let's create the function here. Def GUI underscore exit. It's passing the self. It it um, it basically is called sys.exit to exit the window. Okay, that's it. Now let's check whether the button is connected or not. Okay. It's not running. Did it get exited? Okay. Click dot exit. Let's run it again. Okay, just exiting. Okay, we shouldn't put the parenthesis. Let's run it again. Okay, the window is getting displayed when clicking on exit. Okay, it's getting exit. Okay, now the exit button is working. We just need to write the functionalities for the generate button. Same thing, we'll just call the button generate button dot click dot connect. We'll connect the generate button to a function. We'll call it self dot generate. Just call self dot generate. Now remove the parenthesis. Okay, now def generate. Okay, before generating we need to get what the radio button option was selected from the user. Okay, for that we need to create another function to get the user preference. So def check, we'll call it check radio. We're gonna be implementing this logic now from here. Okay, so based on this we're gonna write the code here. We'll call chars equals an empty string. We'll check if the radio self dot weak radio is selected, is dot is checked. If it's checked, we'll tell chars equals lower. Okay, for that we need to copy a little code up from here. We just copy this one. Okay, all the lower upper digits and the symbol, all the variables are declared over here. I will just call if the weak is selected, should be lower. Then elif if self dot radio medium is checked. If that is checked, chars will be lower plus upper. Okay, similarly I will just call else. We don't need to check the third condition. So then chars will be lower plus upper plus digits plus symbols. Okay, then we'll just return the chars. Okay, now we have the chars. Now we just need to get the input data from the user, that is the length of the password. Okay, where is that length? It's in pass length. So we just need to get the length. Okay, in the generate function we'll store the password in pass should be an empty string. Okay, we can't declare it pass, so we'll call it pass current or something. Pass current, yeah, it's an empty string that will store the generated password. Okay, now we need to get the value from the length of the password. The length of the password is stored in pass length, so we need to extract the data from pass length. So what we're gonna do is we'll tell self dot pass length dot text. We just call the text to get the text, but we need to get the integer value, so we'll typecast it to int. Now we have the integer value. Now we'll call chars equals check the radio function. So which check, so we'll call check radio, self dot check radio, self dot check radio. Now we have it. Now we need to copy a few lines of code from here. So we just need to say password equals random sample dot chars dot n. Now here n is number, so we'll put it in the place of n. We have the password, it's in a string, so we need to display the password, and the password displayed is in passgen, so we need to call that. So self dot passgen dot set text, we need to set text as pasker. We need to change this also, pasker. Okay, now what you have done is when we click the generate button, this function gets called, generate function. So we have created an empty string in pass current. So then we need to get the length of the password. The length of the password is in pass length line text edit. So we need to get the text from that, convert it into integer, then we'll store it in number. Then we need to get the chars. Depending on the radio button which is checked, based on that value we are returning the list of the chars. If it weak radio button is checked, we'll returning lower. If medium is checked, it's returning lower plus upper, else the whole thing. Then we're gonna get random sample of n numbers from this list of characters. Then we got the password, then we're just setting the generated password as this one. So that should do it. Let me run it. Okay, let me enter the length. Okay, we need to provide a limit because it's taking too much integer, so I'll just put 5. Get me a medium password. Okay, it's not any. Okay, we can't, there's some error I guess. Now okay, first we'll put a limit for this Q line edit. What should Q line edit do? It should take an integer, but maybe less than 100 or something. So what we'll do is self dot pass len dot set validator. Set validator will, it's like an validator. It just checks the value. If it's in between the ranges, it accepts the value, else it doesn't accept. For example, if we need an integer value, so we'll give q int validator, so that it just takes the integer value and not some character value like ABCD or alphabets or something like that. Okay, then we'll limit it to 99 and we'll pass self. The minimum value should be 1 and maximum is 99. Okay, then okay, the generate function, it gets the character value, gets the password, and then sets it. Okay, let's run it, we'll see if it runs. Okay, see, I'm entering character but it doesn't accept, so next I'll enter integer 7555. Okay, even if I type a number after 75, it's not accepting it. So now let's put 10, a weak password, generate. Okay, it's not generating, maybe some error I guess. Oh, okay, maybe let's try to print the password before setting the text. Let's print the password, print pasker. Let's run it again. Length should be 10, weak password, generate. Okay, it's not printing also. Okay, before that let me given default value for the radio button. We'll just set the radio weak to be default. So radio weak dot checked, we'll just call it checked to be true. Radio weak to be true. Okay, now that is done. Let's run it again. Okay, now by default the weak option is checked. Okay, now let's enter the length, generate. Okay, maybe there's some error over, not sure. Okay, let's print the characters, whether we are getting it from the, okay, a simple error, I didn't return the chars, I just wrote chars. Okay, return chars. Now let's run it. Run. Give the length is 10 and a medium password. Yeah, we got the password over here. Let me get a strong one. Okay, it's printing. Maybe let's delete this one, may not require. Let's rerun it. Okay, length should be around 50. Medium password. Yeah, you can copy the password but you can't edit the password. Okay, let me give a brief first wrote the skeleton code to display the window, then created few labels and 2 text fields and 2 buttons and 3 radio buttons. Okay, for the label it's just Q label, giving the text and the coordinates like top, left and the width and height. Next, for the Q line edit, to get the length of the password from the user, I've provided a validator for int validator so that it accepts just the integer value and not some random symbols or characters. And I've also limited the length of the integer to be, not length, value of the integer to be around 99, so that it doesn't accept anything other than above 99. Next, for the radio buttons, it's called Q radio. Same thing, we provide the position, we set the text and set check for to give a default value whether it to be checked or not. Then for the text edit, to display the password, I've set it to read only so that the user doesn't alter the passwords. Okay, then for the button it's similar, it's a Q push button. We set the position, then set the text and then connect the button to a function so that on clicked it calls this function. Okay, for the exit button it just calls this.exit so that it closes the application. And for the generate, what we've done is set the password to an empty string, get the integer value from the pass line which gets the user input, then it calls radio check button. Radio check button, based on the radio button which is checked, it returns the characters. Then using random sample and the length of the password, it gets the password and set the text to the current password. That's it. Let me run it again and show it to you. Password of 15, weak password. I've generated it. Let me change it to medium. Generate. Okay, it's combination of bigger letter and smaller. And for the strong, it's a random thing. Okay, I think I've explained it well. Thank you.